a warrior is first, okay? A warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. Okay. So for us, for everybody listening to this, right, we are a brave or experienced fighter, right? Every day it's a challenge for us, right? Every day we wake up, we have a challenge in front of us, which is life. So every day we must fight to become the best version of ourselves. We must fight, okay, to figure out who we can become. Okay. So that's why every single person that is listening to this, I want you to understand that you are a warrior. You are someone who is brave and experienced and ready to go out there and fight life head on so you could get to where you want to go, right? But there's a very, very important word in the definition of warrior, right? And that word is brave. Now, I want to break down what brave is. Okay? Brave is ready to face and endure danger or pain and showing courage. Okay. When you're brave, that means that you are ready to face and endure danger or pain. So that means that you're willing to do whatever it takes. You're willing to step out of your comfort zone. You're willing to put yourself in very uncomfortable situations that could potentially cause you pain, but the beautiful thing about that is, guys, is that in those situations is where you grow the most. Because remember, guys, you can't grow without a challenge. So that's what a warrior is. Okay. And you're listening to this podcast today as the warrior in your heart. Every single one of you guys listening to this podcast episode right now, I want you to know that you are a warrior. You are brave and you're willing to go out there and fight to be the best version of you. You're willing to go out there and fight for the freedom of your family, for the freedom of your community. You're willing to fight for that peace of mind and that enlightenment that we are all striving for. And most importantly, you are fighting to become that best version of you. So I'm going to break down the realizations that every single warrior has. But before I do so, okay, I want to tell you guys a story. Okay. And the story is so powerful because there was a mentor and a mentee in this story. And I want all of you guys to picture yourself as a mentee. Every single one of you right now, you guys are mentees. And let's say, for example, I am your mentor. Okay. So stay with me here. You're my mentee and I'm the mentor. Now, the mentee comes to the mentor and they're struggling with life. Things are hard for them right now. They can't seem to figure it out in business. Things are not going their way. They're losing money. Everybody you talk to is saying no to your business. Your parents aren't supporting you. Your significant other isn't supporting you. You're just struggling right now with life, with business, in all areas of your life. You can't seem to catch a break. Okay. And you're a mentee, right? Now you come to the mentor and you come to me complaining. Okay. And you're letting me know, Nano, I can't seem to figure this out. I'm struggling in life. I can't seem to get my bills paid. I'm working check to check. My finances suck. My relationship is not where I want it to be at. I haven't been waking up on time. My habits are not where I want them to be. You're literally coming up to me and you're complaining to me as a mentee. And as a mentor, I'm just sitting there and I'm just listening. And I'm just listening. And I'm listening to everything that you're saying. And I know that for some of you listening to this podcast right now, right, this might be you. You might be struggling in your business right now. You might not be where you want to be at right now. So I want you to pay attention to this. This is a very, very important story. So what the mentor does, right, is the mentor makes a decision that he wants to teach him a lesson. So I ask you, all right, I understand that you're going through these struggles, but I want you to meet me tomorrow at 5 a.m. at this location. We're going to go on a hike. And at the top of the hike, I have a surprise for you. Okay. So I want you to meet me tomorrow at 5 a.m. Okay. And we're going to go on a hike. And at the top of the hike, I'm going to have a surprise for you. So you show up next day. Okay. 5 a.m. and we go on a hike. And this hike is about 3 hours long. And, we're taking the hike and we started and we're walking. And the whole time you're excited. You showed up excited, right? Because you couldn't wait to see what was the surprise that I had for you at the top of the hike. And you continue, and we're walking up and we're climbing and we're talking, and you're just telling me how excited you are about getting to the top. And, it's been a while since you last hiked, and, you're just filled with anticipation. You're looking forward to getting to the top so you can see the view, so you can get your gift. And, you're like a little kid, the day before Christmas. You just know that, at 12 o'clock at midnight, you're going to be able to open your gifts, right? You're just so excited to see what's at the top of the mountain. So, we're hiking and we're going and we're going, and, we get to the top. We're almost there. We get to the top, and you're tired, and you're like, man, this was worth it. This was worth it. I'm so tired, but I can't believe that we made it to the top. This feels so amazing. And, we finally get to the top, and, the view is gorgeous. Everything is just so breathtaking, honestly. And you're sitting there, and you could tell that you're like looking around, like, all right, like, where's my gift and where's my surprise? And, I'm just standing there quietly, just kind of enjoying the view, being present in the moment. And you ask me, like, hey, hey, Nano, like, where's my surprise? We made it to the top. And I'm like, this is your surprise, right? And you're like, what, the view? And I'm like, yeah, the view is your surprise, but, just being here right now is your surprise, right? And you're like, are you serious? And I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. That right there on the floor is your surprise. Look to the bottom right of your foot. And I point at a rock. Okay, but there's something to the story. Stay with me here. I point at a rock. That's your surprise. And you're like, are you joking right now? Like, you telling me you made me wake up at 5 a.m. and hike 2 hours to the top of this mountain for you to give me a rock as a gift? You're pissed off at this moment. You can't believe that I just did this to you. You're like, almost, you're livid. You're like, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, what kind of joke is this? Like, I'm over here telling you to mentor me, to guide me. I'm telling you how I'm struggling with life. And you want to bring me to the top of this mountain to give me a rock? What kind of mentor are you? Those were your exact words to me. And then I teach you one of the most important lessons in your whole entire life. I want you guys to write this down if you're listening to this, okay? I said, relax. Here's the lesson. Here's the gift. Understand this. The journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. I'm going to repeat that one more time. The journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination. You see, when you were on your way to the top over here, you were excited about getting to the top of the mountain. You were laughing with me. You were happy, excited. You couldn't wait to get here. You were so happy to get to the top of the mountain on the way here. You were so happy on your way to this incredible view right here. So you got here and you noticed that it wasn't what it was supposed to be, and now you're not happy. You see, the thing is that you got to understand that this relates with your life and what you're going through right now. Yes, you're struggling in life. Yes, things might not be the way you want them to. But remember, it's the journey that brings happiness, not the destination. You should be waking up every day happy that you're going through challenges. You should be happy that you're struggling and that things are not going the way that you want them to. You know why? Because this is what's going to make you better. This is what's going to make you the person that you've been asking to be. You understand that anyone that asks for anything, they must be challenged so that they can become the person that is deserving of receiving what they ask for. And the only way you can do that is by growing. But how can you grow? By being challenged. Remember, guys, without a challenge, you can't grow. So you got to find happiness every day in the day-to-day work that you got to do. You got to find happiness in the struggles. You got to find happiness in the lessons. You got to find happiness in the criticism that you're going to get from your family and friends. Don't allow yourself to be brought down by the journey. Because if you're waiting to get to the destination to be happy, then you'll never be happy. What if you never get there? A lot of people, I hear them say, hey, I'll be happy when I make $1 million. I'll be happy when I get to the top. No, you got to be happy now in order for you to attract the top, in order for you to attract the 7 figures. Okay, family? So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from a warrior, is that A warrior understands that the journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination, guys. So I want
Sheesh. That's a good one right there, guys. That is a good episode to study for sure. All right, here we go. Here we go. Grand Rising Familia and happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is having a beautiful start to their days. Put a 111 in the chat box if you guys are feeling good, you guys are feeling blessed, you're feeling aligned. Everything in your life is working in your favor right now. Just accept it, right? Everything is working in our favor. We expect miracles, we get miracles because it is Miracle May, right? And I'm just so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be here with each and every single one of you guys. Thank you for everybody on Instagram. Thank you for everybody on YouTube who's live. We got over 200 people live. We just started, right? We just started Warrior Mode, baby. You know it's real when my sis Mina Moves is on the call. We got everybody. I see my brother Alexis here on IG. We got the whole family on today, and it's amazing. So I'm happy to be here with all of you. Over the weekend I was disconnected for a little bit. We went up to Tennessee. Sometimes you need to disconnect to reconnect. And even though I was still connected, I was disconnected from it a little bit. Just went up into the mountains. I was able to. I got you, Manita, for sure. I actually got an extra one. But we went up to the mountains. We went into the mountains. We meditated by waterfalls. We spent some time with family, and we played a lot of video games. Actually, that's our disconnect. Play a lot of video games. Play a lot of Mario Kart. We love Mario Kart. If you guys didn't know that, I love Mario Kart. But it was awesome, and it was amazing that we were able to do all of that. And I'm back now. We were traveling. And now we're back and we're ready to run the play. But May has been amazing to all of us. I pray that everybody has been having an amazing weekend. I love to see that people like Mario Kart. But I wanted to come back, and I was sitting down and I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, what do we talk about today? And I sat down as I was having my coffee, and I was like, you know what? We always got to go back to the basics. I got to remind people that the basics is where it all starts. Sometimes we're always looking for the answers. We're always looking for the secret sauce and the magic recipe. But what I've always realized, and when I look back at it, it all comes down to mastering the basics, guys. And I know that this is something you guys, some of you have heard. I know some of you guys probably never heard this before, but I want to let you guys know something right here. And I've studied so many successful people. I've surrounded myself with 7-figure earners, 8-figure earners. I even have some 9-figure earners in my corner. Okay. And when I look and I study them, and from the questions that I've asked, the books that I've read, everything that I've been able to realize, when I look back at it all, they all tell me one thing, and they all tell me, Nano, you got to master the basics. So, they say that success leaves clues, right? Success, it leaves clues. So when I look at all the successful people that I've studied, when I look at the Bob Proctors of the world, when I look at Alex Morton, when I look at Matt Rosa, when I look at Ed Milet, when I look at Grant Cardone, when I look at all these top successful people that we study, and if you look at something, one thing that they all have in common that they say is that if you master the basics, you master your life. Now, a lot of people don't know the basics of success, though, and there's 4 of them. Okay. As a matter of fact, there's 5 of them in reality. We're going to call it the 5 basics of success. But remember, to know and to not do is to not know at all. All right. To know and not do is to not know at all. So some people may know the basics, but they don't do them. So in reality, they really don't know. Okay. So the basics are very key, and there's 5 of them. And these are the 5 basics of success that I'm talking about, which is something we should all know off the top of our heads. So like, for example, we have over 200 plus people on this call. I got to be able to go to all 200 of you and be like, hey, what are the 5 basics? And you got to be able to tell me, boom, 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 boom. Yo, Rebecca, what are the 5 basics? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Francisco, what are the 5 basics? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brianda, what are the 5 basics? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to be able to tell me that just like that. Okay. Because if I were to ask you, what's your name? You don't even got to think about it. You'll tell me your name. If I were to ask you, yo, what's the address to your house? You don't even got to think about it. You tell me the address to your house, right? But if I were to ask you, what are the 5 basics? Some people can't tell me. You see, my mentor once told me that. That's how he checked me. He said, no, what is your name? I like, my name is, I told him my government name. I like, yo, my name is Kevin Torres, but everybody knows me as Nano. He was like, perfect. I love that. He like, what's your address? Tell me your address. I'm not going to remember anyways, but tell me your address. Boom, boom, boom. I told him 555 West or whatever. That's when I was living back in New York. I gave him my address. He was like, okay, what are the basics? And I was like, number one is, he was like, stop. That's it. You lost. You lost. You don't know the basics. You see how you knew your name? That's called knowing your name. You see how you knew your address? That's knowing something. You see when I asked you what the basics were and you right away stuttered, you didn't know, you went into the mode, that means you don't know them. If you don't know them, you can apply them. If you can apply them, that means you're not going to get the results from them. He says you need to know them the same way you know your name and you know your address. And that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me that I didn't really know the basics the way I was supposed to know them. So that's what I'm going to cover on this call. I'm going to cover the 5 basics to success. And this goes for everything. I'm not just talking about anything in particular. I'm talking about the 5 basics to success in general. Okay. Now, luckily for you guys, actually, let me see something right here really, really, really quick. I actually have a presentation for it, or I could just, let me see. Would you guys want a presentation? I actually have a slide for this. Should I do slides or should I just do it off the top? I know them off the top, but would you guys want slides? Yes or no? Because I could do the slides if that's better for everybody. So it could be easier for you guys to take notes. I could definitely do the slides. Okay. Slides. I could do slides. IG, you probably won't get any slides. Here's Hazel. What's up, mommy? Okay, I'll do the slides. All right, let me do some slides for y'all real quick. Let me just bring this up. The good thing is I can share a screen on YouTube. I like this. On Instagram, I can't share a screen, unfortunately. Okay, so let me share screen right here. All right, let's start it right here. Boom. And let me share my screen. And we are ready to go. All right, guys. So for my people who are on Instagram, if you want to come to YouTube to check out the slides, it's still going to be a dope training without it. But if you want to come on YouTube so that you can, get the best out of this and see the slides and everything like that, you can definitely do so. Go on my IG bio. I have a chat there. It's called Nano's Exclusive Mentorship Group. I just dropped the link in there so you guys can come over. The only thing about YouTube is that it does cover right here. It covers this right-hand corner for some reason, and I don't know how to change that. Let me see. Am I able to move the camera? Nah, we'll rock it out. All right. So intentions for this training. Very important before we get started here. All right. Intentions for this training goes like this. Okay. Number 1 is turn off all devices of distractions. I need you guys fully locked in. Okay. I do need you guys fully locked in with me this morning because, if you don't, then you're going to miss this training. And this is one of those that you don't want to miss. All right. Number 2 is you want to take notes. Note takers are money makers. All right. Even if you know this training, even if you've heard this training for the 50th time, still take notes. Because I know some of you guys that have been on Mornings with Nano with me for the last 3 or 4 years. You've probably heard me do this training so many times, but this is a training that needs to be done religiously because it is the basics. Okay. And then last but not least, listen with the intention to apply. Okay. Everybody must listen with the intention to apply. All right. This is very, very, very important. All right. So let's do this training so that you guys can have an idea of how this actually is. Okay. Let's go over basic number 1. Okay. Basic number 1 that we all need to know is, who do you listen to? Okay. Who do you listen to? This is so important, right? You see, we got to remember that the person that we listen to, the things that we listen to, is going to determine what goes in our mind. All right. If we look at the way life works, okay, here it is. we look at the way life works, we understand that who we listen to plays a huge role in our life, because who we listen to will determine our beliefs. It's going to determine the limitations that we have. It's going to determine a lot of the habits that we develop. Who you listen to determines everything. Okay. So what I've learned from the very beginning is, Nano, you must listen to people that have the results that you want. Okay. My mentor once told me, he said, Nano, success is actually common sense. He said, find someone that has the results that you want, number one. He says, number two, do what they do. And number three, you will get the results that they have. So you got to listen to people that have the results that you want. And why do I say this? You see, because when I got started in this journey, I would listen to a lot of people that didn't have results, that didn't live the life that I wanted, that weren't making the amount of money that I wanted to make. Okay, that weren't in the position. And it's not that I'm being disrespectful or I'm being obnoxious. It's not that. It's just I can only listen to people that have been where I want to go. Okay. If I'm going to buy somebody's opinion, you got to remember this. If you're going to buy someone's opinion, you also buy their lifestyle. So before I listen, before anything, I always ask myself, Nano, who are you listening to? I swear, as soon as, it's so crazy how I got this subconsciously installed in my mind. The moment somebody starts talking to me, it's like a thought comes into my mind. It just springs up to the top of my mind and says, Nano, who are you listening to? Because my whole life growing up where I was growing up in the United States, I mean, not in the United States, in Washington Heights, in New York City, I had to check myself a lot with who am I listening to, even with my own parents. You see, my parents would always try to give me advice. Love my parents, love my mom, love my dad. But they couldn't give me advice on how to make $1 million. They couldn't give me advice on how to build an international business. They couldn't give me advice on how to build digital skill sets. Why? Because they had never done it. Okay. All they could give me advice on is what? Go to school, get a degree, work a job, make 50, 60K a year, right? That was the advice that they could give me because that's all that they knew. And they're not bad people for that. That's all they know. So all they know is all they can do. So sometimes I had to realize, I'm like, yo, even though I know that my parents, okay, are great people and I know that they want the best for me, I can't take too much of their opinions when it comes to how to build a successful business. Can I take their opinions in other areas? Yes. Okay. But when it came to building a successful business, I couldn't take their advice on it. Okay. Some of my friends telling me, yo, Nano, you shouldn't do this business. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. Imagine if I would have listened to them. Right back then, you know, when I got started, okay, network marketing was one of those things that a lot of people didn't really look into like that. You know, they were very hesitant about it. And I was somebody that by a lot of my friends, they said, yo, don't do that. You're going to waste your time. You might as well go work a job. But I remember listening to this training and saying, yo, who am I listening to? Do these people have the results that I want? Do these people make the amount of money that I want to make? Are they living in the house that they want to live in? Are they driving the car? Are they doing these things? And I realized that they wasn't. So I really couldn't take their opinions serious. Because had I taken their opinions serious, I would have never did this business. I would have never learned how to build an international business. I would have never learned all the digital skill sets I learned. I would have never did mornings with Nano. I would have never met the people that I've met. Look at everything that I would have been robbed of had I listened to the people that did not have the results that I wanted. Okay. So I had to find a mentor. I had to find somebody that was willing to pour into information to me, teaching me the step-by-step process on how I can create success for myself. Right? This is what you guys are doing right now. If you were to ask yourself, well, who am I listening to? Well, you're listening to Nano Torres. Nano Torres is a world-renowned speaker. all right, has created hundreds of success stories all around the world, has traveled to over 25 different countries, has built organizations to the thousands of people all around the world. My mentors are 8 and 9 figure earners. So you can feel good and you can feel confident learning from me and knowing that you're listening to somebody that has created success, that is serving his purpose, that has God in the center, who has helped other people create success for themselves. And you can feel trust and you can feel worthy that you're like, wait, everything that I'm listening to right now, this could help me. Could everything help me? Probably not, but I can learn a couple of things from Nano that I could potentially apply to my life, to my business that could help me out. This is how I want you guys to look at it. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, yo, who am I listening to? And this is not just with the people around you. This has to do with the music you're listening to. This has to do with the friends that you have in your life, your significant other, the things that you listen to on YouTube, the books that you read, the podcasts that you're going to, the events that you go to. This is everything. You know what my mentor once told me? He said, Nano, the ears are the gateway to your heart. And your heart is going to give you what it desires. So think about it. If the ears are the gateway to the heart, whatever you hear goes into your heart. And your heart is going to give you what it is that you desire. So whatever you are listening to, whatever you are constantly hearing, it goes to your heart. Nano, how does that make sense? Well, think about it. TEAR method, T-E-A-R. Thoughts determine what? What do thoughts determine? What do your thoughts determine? What goes after your thoughts? Your thoughts are going to determine your what? Your emotions, which is what? Your heart. It's going to determine your emotions and your feelings, right? So if you think about it, what we're listening to, what we listen to determines how we feel, the emotions that we feel, which is our heart. And if our heart is going to give us what we desire, whether it's good or it's bad, it's going to give it to you because it's what you're constantly feeding it. So we got to be very careful with what we are listening to. We got to be careful with the people we listen to, with the music we listen to, with the things that we watch on television, with everything. We have to be very careful. Why you think that they say your environment is everything? Because your environment is going to determine a lot of what you see and what you listen to. A lot of it will come from what you see and what you listen to. So you got to ask yourself, yo, Nano, who am I listening to? Like, I want you guys to actually think about this really quick. Like, who do you listen to? Think about it really quick. Think about the conversations you've had in the last week of May. Who have you been listening to? Have you been listening to more people that don't have results, or have you been listening to people that do have results? Because I remember when I first got started in my entrepreneurship journey, guys, I realized I was listening to too many people that didn't have results. That's what I realized. Because I was listening to my parents. I was listening to my friends. I was listening to music all day, every single day. I was listening to my neighborhood. I was listening to the news. I was listening to this. I was listening to that. And because of that, I never had the results that I wanted because I wasn't listening to the right people. So I had to change, right? I had to change my ways. And a lot of people ask, well, Nano, how do you find a mentor? Well, write this down. When the student is ready, the mentor will appear. You think I found all these great mentors that I have today by luck? No, guys, I prepared myself as a student. I've read all the books. I listened to all the audios. I went to all the events. I asked the right questions. I invested into the right rooms. so that way I could be ready to attract these mentors into my life. I remember when I used to say, yo, these people will be mentors of mine. Now all my mentors are 7 and 8 figure earners. All of them. They are all 7 and 8 figure earners, all my mentors. As a matter of fact, out of all my mentors and friends, I'm actually the one that makes the least amount of money. Think about that. And I make great money, but they all make more money than me. They all have more experience than me. They all been in the game a lot longer than me. But you got to think about it. Why did I do that though? How was I able to get in those rooms? How was I able to get these people to put me under their wing? Because I prepared myself. I mastered the basics. I've read the books. I listened to the podcast over and over and over and over again. I went to the event. I asked the right questions. I proved myself when it came to showing what it was that I did and who it was that I was becoming. And by law, you know what happens? When you start getting around these rooms, when you start reading these books, when you start listening to these information, the people that know. Remember this, now I'm a mentor. So I know who really knows the information. I know who's ready for mentorship. I know the way that these big mentors, these 7 and 8 figure earners, I know how they go about choosing the people that they're going to work with and who they're going to put under their wing. I know because now I got to do it. And the way that they do it is, guess what? They look at you and they see if you actually know the information. I could tell if I can mentor somebody by the moment I shake their hand. You know why? Because how someone shakes your hand tells you a lot about themselves. I've had people that have come to give me a handshake or to shake my hand, and they give me no eye contact. The moment that happens, the moment someone comes to me, shakes my hand, and doesn't give me no eye contact, I already know that they don't know some of the basics of success. I already know that they lack confidence. Okay? That's a lack of confidence, a lack of belief in themselves. I already know that they have self-image problems. Right away, off the rip, you just know. They just don't know any better. I can tell by the way that they are dressed. Okay? I can tell who a good student is by the questions that they ask me. You know, they say that, not all questions are stupid questions, but the quality of the question that you ask is going to determine the answer that you get. And it'll also show you how prepared you are. Because I've had people, right? I've had people that we go to events, right? They'll do a whole training on how to level up to the next level. And then after the event, they're asking, how do we level up to the next level? How do I get how do I get to the next level? Me, I think about intentional questions, right? When someone comes up to me, I can tell if someone actually showed up to ask me a question intentionally, or if they just showed up to ask me a question just to say they asked me a question. I know. I could tell. Right? If someone just asks me a very basic question, I can tell that they didn't really prepare for the question. But if someone sits there and asks me a very intentional question, breaking it all down for me, explaining to me what they're going through, and able to just help me understand it, I know that that person prepared. That's a good way to show people that you're a good student. When the student is ready, the mentor appears. So who are you listening to? Ask yourself that question. That's number one. Okay, chat box, if this is making sense really quick. Okay, you gotta listen to the right things, guys. You know what I did many times when I was on my come up, you know what I did? I would do no music months. So I would be like, all right, the month of May, no music May. For the whole month of May, I'm not listening to music. That's what I would do. Whole month of May, no music, just audios. Just audios, audios, and podcasts. Audios and podcasts, audios and podcasts. Audios, podcast, mornings with Nano. Why? Because I just needed the right information feeding myself. So I would go to sleep to audios. Okay. I would take the train in New York while listening to audios. If my mom needed me to go run an errand for her, I would do it listening to audios. I mean, I still do it to this day. Like I could be in the middle of work, but there's a personal development audio playing in the background. I'm always listening to something positive. Okay, I'm always listening at all time. It's so important. It makes the huge difference if you are willing to actually commit to listening to the right people. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two, very important, is what is your teachability index? Now, this is one of the most important points of this whole entire training. What is your teachability index? All right, let's talk about this. There's two ways to determine your teachability index. Here it goes. All right. Number one is your willingness to learn. Number two is your willingness to accept change. So there's two ways to determine whether you have a high teachability index or not. Okay. Number one is your willingness to learn. Nano, what do you mean by the willingness to learn? Well, leaders are readers. This is why I tell people, hey, this is why I always tell people, yo, do you read books? And when people tell me no, I'm like, yo, you have a low teachability index. But bro, you don't understand. I don't like reading. I get it. I didn't like reading either, but leaders are readers. So you got to do things you've never done to get things you've never had, right? So you got to read. So I don't want to hear the excuse that, oh, I don't like to read or I never read a book. No, that's the old you. You need to read books. Okay, you got to read. You got to read, guys. You have to read. But then I just prefer listening to it. But it's not enough. It's not enough. You got to actually read the books, right? I posted this on my story the other day. The most successful people in the world, they put all their secrets in books. Why? Because people don't read them. Can you imagine that, putting all the secrets in books, knowing that no one's going to read them? That the only way that they're going to be able to get the secrets is if they read it? People don't read. Did you guys know that more than 90% of people in the world read a book a year? People don't read, and it blows my mind. It blew my mind because now, remember, guys, I've been on both sides. I've been the broke, living at my parents', complaining, saying I won't read a book, that's for nerds kind of guy. And then I've been on the other side where I'm like, yo, you got to read. I'm the nerd. I've read over 100 books, the whole nine. And I see the complete difference. And I'm like, yo, thank God I actually took the time to read the books. Audios were great. Podcasts are great. Events are great. But reading is the real game changer. Now, why do you say that? Well, because with reading, you're more involved in terms of adding all the senses. Think about it. When you read, if I grab this book and I'm reading, I'm seeing it, number one. I'm hearing it because as I'm reading it to myself or out loud, my ears are hearing it, okay? Number three, I'm touching it because I have my hands on the book, okay? In reality, I can smell the book. You're not going to be smelling the book, obviously, but if you wanted to, you can smell the book. And if you wanted to, you can also taste it, right? So in reality, you get more senses added. You're able to get more out of a book when you have it in your hand, okay? Like the physical copy. When you're able to get more out of a book when you read it. Why? Because you're able to add sight, hearing, touch, smell, and touch. I mean, smell and taste, right? Obviously, you're not really gonna smell it and taste it, but yo, I don't know about you guys, but you can actually smell a book. When you get a brand new book, you can actually smell the scent of a new book. You know when you buy a new car. When you buy a new car, you can smell the taste of you can smell the leather, the new leather. It's the same thing with a book, right? You can smell the brand new pages and the scent in a way, right? And how crisp it is and everything like that. Even when you're scrolling through the pages, you can smell it in a way. So The new book, it's an experience. And you know what I also learned about books? It's one of the most unique places that you can meet people. Listen to this again. Books are one of the most unique places that you can actually meet somebody, right? Because let me ask you guys a question, right? Put a one in the chat box. Let me think of a book. Put a one in the chat box if any of you guys have read The Alchemist, for example. Great book, right? A book that a lot of people know about. Have you read The Alchemist, Mac Tubb, the whole nine? It is written, the whole story of the guy. Think about it. For all of us that have read that book, if I were to bring something up and you remember it, that's a unique place that we can all meet. Like, think about it. Right now, I could meet Lulu, I could meet Emmy, I could meet Enigma, Abel, Natasha, Reedy, Linda, Brianda, Warrior Spirit, Alex, Cheryl, Dama, right? Lexi on Instagram here. I could meet you guys in that book because I could be like, yo, remember when he met this person, and remember when that happened, and remember when, you know, he finally got to his destination. You remember that? We could go and be like, yeah, dude, yo, I remember that part of the book. I remember, yo, you remember this? You remember this quote? Okay? This is so important, right? So leaders are readers. You got to ask yourself, yo, what audios, what podcasts am I listening to? What events am I investing into? I always tell people this. I'm like, yo, in events, I've invested over 6 figures. In mentorship, over 6 figures. I've seen it happen multiple times. You know, my sis Mina, she's on this call, right? When I first met Mina, I saw her invest $15K into a private Bob Proctor inner circle. 15. Just to be a part of an inner circle. I remember her. I remember her paying for it. I remember her paying for a $5,000 course. You know how many events we've been to? You know how many books we've gone to? How many private one-on-ones we invested into? Thousands of them. Thousands of them. Because this is the problem. Remember this, write this down. The more you pay, the more you pay attention. The more you pay, the more you pay attention. You ever see, when you ever go to an event and you see the people sitting front row, you ever realize that they take more notes and they're more locked in than the people who paid general admission? You guys ever notice that? The people at the front, the people that paid the thousands of dollars to sit at the front, you ever realize when you go to these events, for my people that go to events, they take more notes than everybody. They don't even get up to go to the bathroom, bro. You don't see them hanging out, talking, having side conversations. Bro, they paid a lot of money for that. So what do? They go to these events and they pay extra attention because they're like, yo, hold up. I paid $4,000 for this ticket. I paid this amount of money for this ticket. I got to pay attention. Because the more you pay, the more you pay attention. This is why I always tell people, like, yo, you got to stop being cheap with investing into yourself. You can't be cheap when it comes to investing into yourself. You got to be willing to invest into yourself. You know how many books, how many audios, how many podcasts, how many events I went to, how many things I did to get the information? It was so important. So guys, when it comes to paying for information, pay for the right information. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and invest into all these random courses. No. What I'm saying is find people that you believe in, that you trust, that give actually free value as well. Guys, look, I do this for free. But guess what, guys? Bob Proctor would charge somebody $5,000 to teach them the same exact thing that I'm teaching you guys right now. Isn't that crazy? The same information that people have paid $5,000 for, I teach it to you guys for free on these calls. Believe it or not. This information people have paid thousands of dollars for. You guys got it for free. But the difference is, remember, it came from a different person. Okay? It came from a different person. And guess what? They paid more attention to it. You know, something I did a lot, and I still do it to this day. It was something called learning lunches. You know what I would do? I would invite my mentors or people that I looked up to learning lunches. What do I mean by that? Yo, Alex, let's go have a coffee, bro. Let's go have a coffee. Let's go have lunch. It's on me, but I got like 5 or 6 questions I want to ask you. Learning lunches are everything. Right? Yo, let me take you to lunch, bro. Lunch on me, but I got 7 questions I got to ask you, bro, while we have lunch. And I'll pay for lunch. I'll take care of the lunch, $50 lunch, $60 lunch, whatever it is. And let me ask you a couple questions if you don't mind. These are so valuable. A lot of people don't do this, right? You know, I was listening to Jim Rohn the other day. Jim Rohn said the other day, he said, poor people, he was saying it in a joke, but he was like, poor people should be taking rich people out to dinner and learning from them, because the money that they pay at dinner, okay, and just one conversation, one nugget, one thing could be worth the dinner that you paid for them. Not calling anybody on this call poor, but you get the example that he was trying to give. But that's what I was doing when I was broke. I was taking rich people out to lunch and to coffee. Why? Because I had to learn from them. I wanted to learn from them. My morning routine, right? Remember, what's a routine is something you do every day. This right here determines your willingness to learn for real. Because this is something you got to do every day. So do you do each and every single day? Do you have a morning routine that you follow 7 days a week? Is it still something that you got to think about when you wake up? Do you still got to think about, well, should I do my morning routine today? Yes or no? If you're still there, you don't have a high teachability index yet, right? Because real quick on this call, true honesty, right? Before you answer this, before everybody on this call answers this, I want the truth from everybody, because this is how we determine your teachability index, right? Listen to this. Are you someone that reads every day? Do you listen to audios every day? Okay. Are you going to entrepreneur mindset events at least once every quarter? Okay. Are you jumping on mentorship calls with your mentor, with your upline, with whoever it is, right? Do you have learning lunches? Do you have a morning routine that you follow 7 days a week? All right. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say your willingness to learn is on this call? True story. All right. What would you say your willingness to learn is on a scale of 1 to 10? If we go based off of what I said, events, books, audios, mentorship calls, learning lunches, morning routines, where would you say you are? And be truthful. Remember, guys, the point of this is not to flex that you're a 10 when you're not really a 10. Right? I get it. Some of you guys may be 10s. Right? I believe some of you guys are 10s. I'm not taking that away from you. But this call is about being real. Right? Checking yourself and being like, yo, I don't read every day. Okay. Like, I don't really invest every day. You know, I don't listen to audios. I actually listen to more music. Like, you got to be willing to check yourself and realize, like, yo, damn, my willingness to learn isn't that high. Okay. Like, in all honesty, guys, I wouldn't even consider myself a 10 yet. I mean, I would probably put myself at around an 8, a strong 8, strong 9, 8, 9. Because I do slip up on my routine sometimes. I haven't had a learning lunch in a while. I do listen to music. I do read still. I do mentorship calls. I haven't done a learning lunch in a while. So I would say 8, 9. And I read a lot. And I listen to a lot of audios, and I have a lot of mentors around me, and I ask a lot of questions. Now, the willingness to learn is great. Now, listen to this though. It's about your willingness to accept change though. So it doesn't matter if you have a high willingness to learn, because let me ask you guys a question. If you have a 10 of a willingness to learn, let's say you're a 10 willingness to learn, but you're a 0 when it comes to accepting change, right? What is 10 times 0? Answer that question for me. What is 10 times 0? If I was to multiply 10 by 0, what do I get? 0. Nothing. Why? Willingness to learn is a 10. You're willing to learn. You read the books, you listen to the audios, you do everything. But you're not willing to accept change. You're not willing to apply the information. You're not willing to change the bad habits. You're not willing to put to work what you learned. So remember, it doesn't matter how much you learn, how many books you read, how many audios you listen to, how many podcasts, how many events, how many learning lunches. If you are not willing to accept the change, it doesn't matter. Because what did I say at the beginning of the call? To know and to not do is to not know at all. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is the power. So are you applying what you're learning? Are you making the necessary changes? This is the key. You learned about a morning routine. Did you apply the morning routine? You learned about writing your goals down. Are you writing your goals down twice a day? You learned about the power of visualization and how you can create your own reality, that whatever you can see in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Are you visualizing every single day? You learned the skills to become a successful, owner or, business owner in your business. Have you been applying those skills? You learn the strategy in trading, whatever it is. Are you applying that strategy? You need to be budgeting yourself. You understand the power of budgeting. You understand the power of investing. Are you still keeping that budget? Are you still doing what you're required to do? You're not supposed to be eating certain foods. Are you still doing it? Right? This is the game changer right here. So some people have high willingness to learn, but they have a low willingness to accept change. This is where people get messed up. It's not the willingness to learn. A lot of people are willing to learn. Think about it. I know people that jump on mornings when they know every day. I know people that read the books. I know people that go to the events. But for some reason, their results never change. You ever wonder that? Yo, this person's at every event. This person reads every book. They're on every morning's Waneno. They take all the notes. But for some reason, the results never change. Why? Because they don't accept the change. Remember, in order for you to change, you have to change. You have to be willing to change, right? I learned about a morning routine. Had I never applied the power of the morning routine, who knows? I would have never gotten to where I'm at today. Because I learned about it. I read the book Miracle Morning. I studied a lot of successful people and told me, yo, you got to have a routine that you follow for your personal development every single day. And it wasn't until I applied it consistently over a period of time that I started to change my life. So the way you determine what your teachability index is, here it is. You want to know what your teachability index is? You got to multiply your willingness to learn by your willingness to accept change. So do that really quick. Multiply your willingness to learn by your willingness to accept change. Okay, I would say for both of them, I'm a solid 9 on both sides. I wouldn't put myself at a 10 yet because I know I can be better on both sides. But I'll give myself a strong 9 on each side. So 9 times 9 is 81. Right? Right now, I'm at 81% teachability index. I passed. I wouldn't have the results I have today if I had a low teachability index. The only way you can get the results that I have today is because I have a high teachability index. Okay? So you got to ask yourself, yo, what is your teachability index? Because let's say you have a high willingness to learn. Let's say you're a 9 willingness to learn, but then you're a 5 willingness to accept change. 9 times 5 is what? 45. You failed. You have a low teachability index. 45%, that's a failing grade in school, right? Anything below a 60, from what I remember, is a D. No, anything below a 60, it's an F. Where I grew up, that's how it was. And it's the same thing now. If you're at about 60, you're like at a D level. You're in the 70s to 80s, you're in the C levels. 80 to 90, you're in the B levels. And then 90 to 100, you're A. I'm in the B's right now. Wherever you are, that determines the success that you're having. Check yourself. Guys, look, remember, that's what this call is about. For you to check yourself, yo, what is my teachability index? Is it a 60? Is it a 70? Is it an 80? Is it a 90? Do I need to work on it more? Do I need to study more? Do I need to read more? You got to check yourself on it. That's number 2. Okay, I got 2 more and we're done here. Okay, I'm gonna get this done here in the next 10 minutes, 5 for each. Training balance scale is basic number 3. Okay, basic number 3 is the training balance scale. Now, what is this? Let's talk about it. The training balance scale basically states this right here. It states that 1% of success is physical, and then the other 99% is spiritual. That's what it states. So 99% of success is spiritual, is your thoughts. When I talk about spirituality, I'm talking about your thoughts. The other 1% is the physical. Now, if you want to do 90-10, it also works as well, whatever it is. But I want you to think about it. Majority of us, we only focus on the 1% because that's all we ever knew, right? The physical work, the phone calls, the events, the trainings, the studying, the team meetups, the one-on-ones, any and all physical work is only 1 to 10% of success. And think about how much of that we put so much effort on. Think about somebody that works a job. Majority of their day is spent doing the physical work. 8 hours a day. Then you spend another 8 hours a day sleeping, 16 hours a day down the drain, only doing the physical work. That is only 1 to 10% of your success. Then you include travel, you include dinners in between. You're looking at anywhere from 18 to 20 hours of just physical work and just going through the motions type of thing. How many hours are we dedicating to the spiritual world? Guys, I'm going to tell you guys something. When I learned this right here, the training balance scale, this is what helped me get into a 6-figure income. I didn't make 6 figures till I understood this part right here. Everything else was great. I learned all the great strategies. I learned about discipline. I learned the skill sets. I learned all of that stuff. But so I didn't learn this, I didn't hit 6 figures. You remember I told you guys there's a summer that could change everything for you, right? I tell people all the time, this is the summer that is going to change everything for all of you guys. I'm going to make sure of it. Only those that listen to me this summer will have a lot of success. But my summer that I remember was summer 2019, because summer 2019 was where I learned this. The spiritual side of success. Because all the world's strength and power rests inside of us. All of it is inside of us. It's inside of us. Okay? Right? I saw the other day, I was talking to who I was talking to, but I was seeing the quote. One of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite mantras of all time is, I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rest inside of me. Everything you want. Think about it. I am more than I appear to be. All of us on this call, we are all more than we appear to be. All of the world's strength and power, it rests inside of us. So your thoughts are very important. We talked about it earlier. Your thoughts control emotions. Emotions determine actions. Actions determine results. Your self-image, acting as if you're already successful, acting as if you're already that leader, acting as if, even you could be broke, but you can still act as if you're rich. Self-talk, the way you talk to yourself. How do you talk to yourself? One of the greatest books I've ever read, right here. Look, I have it right here. What to say when you talk to yourself. Great book. I had to learn about that. I had to learn about affirmations. I had to learn about the power of the way I speak to myself. I had to learn all of that stuff. Understanding the higher faculties. I know you guys may not see it there in the corner, but your higher faculties, a lot of people don't know about this. That's a whole training in itself, the higher faculties. There's 6 of them. You see, we have 5 physical senses, but then we have 6 spiritual senses. The 5 physical senses are the ones that we are all aware of. What we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. But our spiritual senses is our reason, our will, our perception, our intuition, our memory, and our imagination. There you go. But think about it. We use our physical senses, but a lot of us aren't using our spiritual senses. How many of us are using our imagination every day? How many of us are using our intuition, our perception, our willpower, our ability to reason, our ability to memorize? Guys, I could have done this whole training without one slide. I could have done this training off the top of my head because of my memory. Perception is the way that you look at things. What do they say? If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Okay? These are all things that we got to learn and master. You got to know this like the back of your head. You got to know this like you know your address and like you know your name. If I were to see you in a week from now or 2 weeks from now, or if I were to meet you this summer and I were to come up to you and I would be like, yo, give me the 5 basics. What are they? And you hesitate, I know you didn't study them. I know you didn't master them. And you can't apply anything that you haven't taken the time to master. Very important. Work on the spiritual side of success this whole summer. Watch what happens to your life. Work on it. Work on your self-image. Work on your self-talk. Work on your thoughts. Work on understanding the higher faculties. This is the stuff you got to work on. Nano, how do I work on my thoughts? Develop a morning routine. Nano, how do I develop a good self-image? Read the book, Psycho-Cybernetics. Nano, how do I understand my self-talk? Read the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Study. Your willingness to learn. I wanted to learn about self-image. I bought the book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I wanted to learn about my self-talk. I bought the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I wanted to work on my thoughts. I developed a morning routine. I wanted to develop my higher faculties. I practice imagination every single day and practice everything every single day. I studied. I learned because I know that whatever I don't know, I can apply. But the more I know, the more I can do. So that's number 3. And then last but not least, number 4, so we can wrap up this training. Okay, is you got to understand the 4 stages of learning. So for example, let's talk about the 4 stages of learning right here really quick. A lot of us, before we jumped on this call, you had no idea what the basics of success were. So you were at number 1, which is unconscious incompetence. Unconscious means you don't know. Incompetence means you can't do. Okay? So you don't know, so you can't do. A lot of people, when I first learned this information, I didn't know, so I couldn't do. Why do you think most people right now are struggling and going through a lot of tough times? Because they don't know, so they can't do. Okay? They're at the first level of learning. They're at level 1 of learning. You got to know this. When I first learned this information, I was mind blown. I was like, holy, I'm at the first level of learning. I don't know, so I can't do. Then you get to level 2, which is where a lot of people are, which is called conscious incompetence, which means you're conscious of what you got to do, but you still don't do. You know you got to read, but you don't read. You know you got to do a morning routine, but you don't do the morning routine. Okay. You know you need to wake up early, but you don't wake up early. You know you need to eat healthier, but you don't eat healthier. You know you need to stop smoking, but you don't stop smoking. You know you need to stop going out on the weekends, but you don't stop going out on the weekends. But you don't do. This is where most people are. This is what's destroying most people's incomes and most people's lives right here. It's something called the knowing and doing gap. Most people know, but they're not doing. This is the problem. This is the biggest problem with a lot of our communities, society, and a lot of what we got going on. We know we don't need to be on Instagram all day, every day, but we don't do it. We know we need to love ourselves more, but we don't. We know we need to be in the gym 4 or 5 days a week to keep a healthy body and keep a healthy physique and keep a healthy mindset, but we don't go to the gym. We know. And you know what's funny? When your friend or a family or a mentor comes to you and they tell you, yo, you got to be going to the gym, man. And you know what? And you know what we say? I know. Yo, you got to be reading more. I know. Yo, you got to do your morning routine more, bro. You got to be more consistent with that. I know. No, you don't know. You really don't. Because if you had known, you would have been doing. So don't tell me you know. That's the worst mistake you could ever, that's the worst thing you could ever tell somebody. Oh, yeah, I know. But you don't know. Sometimes I get that answer so many times that I just be like, all right, bro, whatever. Like, you got it, man. You do know. But you don't. Because if you had known, you would have done it. Remember, what do I say? To know and to not do is to what? Is to not know at all. So what does it matter if you tell me, of course, Nano, I know I got to be in the gym if you don't go to the gym? I know I'm supposed to be doing my morning routine, but you don't do it. So what does it matter? You know you got to be eating healthier, but you don't. So what does it matter? You know you got to be reading a book every single day, but you don't read every day. So what does it matter that you know that you got to do it? If you don't do it. The level that everybody here, okay, the level we all need to get to is level 3. It's called conscious competence, which means you know when you do. You know you got to do your morning routine, you do it every day. You know you got to read every day, you read every day. You know you got to be in the gym 4 or 5 days a week, you're in the gym 4 or 5 days a week. You know you got to master the skills, you master the skills. You know you got to develop a self-image, you develop the self-image. You know you got to be acting as if, and you start acting as if. You know you got to write your goals down twice a day, and you write your goals down twice a day. And you got to stay at the conscious competence level long enough until you can get to the unconscious competence level, which is number 4. Unconscious competence. Unconscious competence means you don't even think about it. It's automatic, like tying your shoes. Think about it, guys. If I were to tell you to tie your shoes right now, you're not going to sit there and be like, okay, it's funny because I have this thing right here, right? You're not going to be like, okay, I got to crisscross. I got to go under, swing, bunny ears, blah, 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 right? I don't got to, bro, for me to tie this, I could tie this without thinking about it. Look, I could tie this without thinking about it. No problem. Boom, boom, tie it, pull. Without thinking about it. I don't even got to think about it. I could do it with my eyes closed. Why? Because I've done it so many times. Thousands of times, thousands of reps. I'm unconsciously competent about it. I don't even got to think about it. There's not even a reasoning factor whether I should do it or not. I know it. You got to get like that with your success, with your goals, with your morning routine, with reading, with your self-image, with your habits, with the gym. You got to get to that point like that, because you know what the problem is? Here's the problem. We are unconscious competent about the wrong habits and about the wrong things. Because think about it. Some of us, our habits are so deeply ingrained that we don't even think about it anymore when it comes to the things that we do. Some of you don't even think about the things that you're doing. Some people are being unconscious competent about the wrong habits, about the wrong mindset. And this is why sometimes it's so hard to get people out of that mindset and get them to change, because their habits are so deeply rooted and ingrained that they can't even imagine anything else outside of that. This is why sometimes, unfortunately, it's better to work with younger people. Why is it better to work with someone who's younger? Because someone who's younger doesn't have as deeply enrooted habits that they've been developed over the years. An older person is a little bit harder to develop because you gotta unravel and you gotta reprogram bad hundreds and years of bad programming and deeply rooted habits that they gotta change. And sometimes it's hard for those people to change those things when you've had those habits for so many years. It's hard. What saved me, I always tell people this, what saved me was that I never got a chance to work a job. So I never worked a job. So I don't know what clocking in is. So I never got a chance to develop that mindset of being an employee. Right? I never ever developed an employee mindset. Never, my whole life. I don't know what a job is. I went straight from being a baseball player to becoming a professional network marketer and digital entrepreneur. Right? So I never got a chance to develop that mindset or surround myself in those environments. I don't know what it's like to do something that I don't like to do. I don't know what it's like to clock in. I don't know what it's like to have a boss. I don't know what it's like to do any of those things. And it's not me bragging, okay? I'm not here to brag or throw anything in your face. It's not what I'm here to do, but I was never able to dive into that stuff. So I don't know what it's like. So I don't know that. I'm unconscious incompetence about working a job. I don't know what that mindset is like. I don't know what it requires. That's why sometimes I can't even relate to certain people when it comes to that, because I don't know what it's like. Okay. So I was never able. So for me, it was easier for me to come in and just learn the information and just apply this information. Right? I just know what I know, which is this. Think about it. This is all I know right here. I don't know the other side. I never got a chance to look in the other side. The only reason I know about the other side is because everybody I mentor is on the other side. That's the only reason I know about the other side. The only reason I know about what it's like to work a job is because all my mentees work a job. So I hear their mindsets, I hear their struggles, I hear their insecurities, I hear I hear it. I truly hear it. So I get that now. So you have to be the person that understands, like, yo, my journey is going to be a little bit harder because these are the cards I was dealt. These are the cards I was dealt. So I got to work triple, quadruple harder to get out of this. Okay. Had to work quadruple. And look, just because, think about it. Let me tell you guys something. I'll tell you what, it's a gift and a curse though. Right? Because some of you guys may be like, well, no, you're so lucky, bro. You know, you never got a chance to work a job, blah, 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 blah. But remember, because I never worked a job, I had no work experience. So I don't know what it's like to work. I don't know what it's like to communicate with people. I don't know any of these things that someone who had worked a job, I don't know customer service. You know, I don't know a lot of these things that someone who had worked a job already knows how to do. Okay, so in reality, I had to learn all those things as I came into the entrepreneurship space because I didn't come into this with experience. I had never worked a job, so I don't know any of these things. So it's a gift and a curse because eventually I still had to learn these things. Now, someone who has already worked the job and has experience and has, you know, done things and built companies and done all these things, they come in with a little bit more experience than I do. So that's the beauty of it, right? So that's that. And then last but not least, number five is basically master the 4 basics. That's the 5th basic. Master the 4 basics. Those are the 5 basics to success. Number 1, who do you listen to? Number 2, what is your teachability index? Number 3, training balance scale. Number 4, the 4 stages of learning. Number 5, master the 4. You got to master those 4. You got to master who you listen to. You got to master your teachability index. You got to get that to 90 to 100. 80 to 100 is perfect, right? You got to get an 80 to 100, okay? Training balance scale, understanding that 99% of success is spiritual. The other 1% is physical. So working more on that spiritual side of success. I did see the balloons actually. And then number 4 is the 4 stages of learning, getting to the unconscious competent level with this information. Like I've gotten to the unconscious competent level with my morning routine, as an example. I've done my morning routine so many times that the moment I wake up, the first thought is, Nano, we got to go do our morning routines. That's literally the first thought in my head. Boom, morning routine. I've trained myself because I've done my morning routine so many years back to back to back that my mind is at the unconscious competent level where it's automatic. Nano wakes up, the first thing he thinks about is, yo, Nano, you got to go do your morning routine. First thing that comes to my mind, Nano, you got to go do your morning routine. It's not even should I do my morning routine? No, it's a go. Morning routine. It's natural, it's automatic. It's like brushing my teeth. It's like getting in the car, putting on my seatbelt. It's not even something I got to think about. You got to do the exact same thing, guys. You got to get to these levels. And these are the 5 basics to success, guys. 5 basics. There's actually a book on the 5 basics that my brother wrote, Matt Gribby. You should look it up. Okay, he actually did a whole book on it. I think it's on Amazon. If I'm not, actually, you can buy it. It's called The 5th Basic.com. Is it that one? Let me make sure. No, it's not there. I forgot how it is. Let me see. Such a great book because he's the one that taught it to me. So I'll get it to you guys and I'll post it in the chat so you guys can have it. But you got to know this information, guys. Got to know this. You master the basics, you master your life. Okay. So that's my training right there, guys. Put some 555s in the chat box if you guys got value from today's training. 555. It's funny. I've done this training over 100 times, and every time I do it, I learn something new from it. And it also reminds me what I'm not doing. It also reminds me what I should be doing more of. It also reminds me that I need to be more tapped in on the spiritual side. It reminded me that I got to be more on point with my teachability index. My who do I listen to and all of that stuff. I'm great with that, but just listening to it again, it reminds me like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to organize this. Like this information is very, very valuable, guys. So I'm glad that you guys got trained. You guys got a value from this. Sorry if I went a little bit longer than usual, but this is a training that I had to give you guys so you guys can have it here on YouTube whenever you wanted to study it at any time, right? I wanted to give you guys the full training, not rushing through the training. I wanted to give you the full training with all the ideas, with all the stories, with all the details, and so on and so forth. All right, guys. So here you have it. This is a training that you can literally study whenever you want, and it'll change your life. I'm telling you, this specific training right here is what is going to make me a 7-figure earner in 2024. Okay, because I mastered this information, I'll be a millionaire because of this information right here. This information was the foundation to everything else that I learned and mastered along the way, the 5 basics. All right, guys. So with that being said, I love you guys so much. I'll be back again on Thursday, May 9th for another episode of Mornings with Nano. I do these calls at 10 a.m., 10:15 a.m. I do it, but just lock in with me, guys. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Share this with somebody. Tell them to subscribe. I'm actually less than like 200 people from hitting 10K subscribers. So help me get that. That's going to be big to get to 10K subscribers. We've been working on this for years. So to be at 10K subscribers is going to be an amazing feeling. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys all. I'm going to do a quick prayer for all of us, and then we're going to wrap it up right there. All right. So everybody bow your heads real quick and let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for allowing us to wake up on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Because we made the wake up list today, we know that you are not done working on us, Father. So continue to work on us, continue to develop develop us. Continue to help us understand the basics of what it is that we need to accomplish. Our foundation is going to be built with you in the center, because we understand in order for us to have the strongest foundation to where we want to go, we need to have you at the foundation. We need to have you at the center. And we give you all the glory and we give you all the praise for everything that you're doing for us. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for this community. Thank you for allowing us to grow and become the best version of ourselves. And for anyone that's going through anything on this call, Father, I pray that you put your healing hand over them and you guide them and you eliminate the negative thoughts from their mind. You eliminate the negative, anything negative that's in their life that is not bringing them value, that you eliminate it and you clear them of any bad at all, because we want all of our children, all of our people in our community vibrating at a high level, feeling good about themselves and on their way to build the kingdom the way we know it's our purpose to do so. So we love you so much, Father. Let's go out and have a great day. In God's name we pray. Amen. 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 All right. Whew. Amazing call. Hey, Drew. I love you so much, mommy. Say bye to everybody. Bye, guys. Hazel just hangs out here with me and she hangs out with us. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your days. And I will see you guys on Thursday for another episode of Mornings with Nano. God bless you guys. Love you.